Well, it's Thursday morning, it's day 2, we're well rested, it's raining unfortunately, but we're all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. We had a really positive day yesterday, which I'm sure we'll chat about later. We're heading off now, doing quite a bit of driving, to cover a story which could be slightly more distressing, so we're on our way. Ready everyone?
We are. Yep.
SOS, 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 I'm calling you. SOS, 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 I'm calling you. Break me down, I will get back up, I'm calling you. Pull me down, I will pull right back, I'm pulling through.
This is our famous
chap called Borko, rescued last year in May, and he'd been beaten badly and his spine snapped, so I found him in the village and he was dragging himself on his belly.
Yes.
So I took pity on him.
So when you found him, you brought him home, and you're a vet. You're a doctor or a vet?
A medical doctor.
A medical doctor. So you then examined him. Do you think that he'd literally just been beaten and it was lucky you came along?
I couldn't say. I mean, Lorraine, it was probably 2-3 days. I mean, he spent on the street, and that's what actually disgusts me, because I mean, you can imagine dozens of people actually they basically walked by him.
Yes.
And they didn't take any pity on him.
And at that point he was dragging himself along with nothing. He couldn't use any of his back legs. It was broken halfway down his spine.
Absolutely. He had these the pressure sores. I mean, that's why I think it's been probably a few days, I mean, before I found him.
Yes.
Because I mean, he had all these sores, and he was in very bad shape actually.
And tell us the story from then on. So you took him back.
Oh, I took him here, yeah.
You brought him home, and then what was the reaction of the village to that?
Well, you see, at the beginning they didn't exactly know what happened to that little doggy, because he was inside most of the time, and I have this little red sink, and you got some pictures. In that, he's in there. So he was that small now, and I put him in the sink with the diapers and everything else, and he would actually sit there quietly.
So he was a puppy?
He was a puppy, and he would actually sit quietly and sleep in the sink, and he was quite content actually.
Yes.
It was much easier than to look after him, because he was not heavy.
Now, he'd obviously gone through a terrible trauma, people beating him. Did he try and attack you at all?
Oh, no, he didn't.
So he was a very gentle, kind...
Very gentle, kind dog, actually, and I simply picked him up, and I carried him by hand here. And then, obviously, because on Saturday and Sunday I go to see my parents in Plovdiv, for the weekend, and I would take him with the sink, put him in the car. He would actually travel with me like a suitcase, Lorraine. Amazing. But he was. I raised him as my own child, basically.
Yes.
Because exactly like a child, I would actually pick him with one hand, wipe his bottom, put the diapers, put the jelly, the wipers, everything, and then a couple of hours later do the same thing again, and all over again. And it's
now Borko has become very well known because of this situation.
Exactly.
But most of us, like my good self, are not overly. I'll get rid of that. It keeps making a silly noise. But most of us aren't aware of the full story, because what happened is you then got this lovely, delightful dog back to some semblance of health and happy. and he was going along quite nicely, and you have a couple of other strays that you've taken in. Now, what is the situation in your village regarding strays? What is their attitude to strays?
The attitude is, well, it's something we inherited from the past, actually, and it's always been like that, Lorraine. I mean, they've always been considered a vermin, you know, and like stray dogs and cats.
Yes.
So they've been persecuted, tortured, mishandled in various ways,
And so have you often come across dogs in really bad shape?
oh, we do actually, and even in the town of Plovdiv we do.
Yes.
And we feed them. And there's always some poor stray dog actually around the block where my parents live.
Now, do forgive me, but I didn't know anything about you. My knowledge was through just knowing about Borko, but not his full story. But you're very active, aren't you, in the country and in the area
I am.
against this attitude towards strays, and you are trying to change people's attitude. How are you trying to do that in your village here?
Well, in my village, you see, that's why I'm not that popular, Lorraine, because people hate to be told actually that they're doing something wrong.
Yes.
And well, I'm not. Well, basically, I'm not the kind of person who would actually go and drink in the pub with the local villagers, and they don't like that. I'm not the kind of person who would actually go and hunt with them, like killing for killing. There's no justification for hunting. I think it's cruel and barbaric sport. I mean, it should be outlawed, but for some reasons, I mean, they won't do it. Not in our lifetime, but well, and then
there are laws in place, aren't there? In Bulgaria,
against,
to be fair, there are laws in place, but they're not being implicated.
Exactly, and
implemented.
Implemented, exactly, and they're not enforced actually. And for a legal norm to become a law, I mean, there has to be a mechanism for enforcement. There's no such mechanism. Well, we have this Animal Welfare Act, and it was actually passed in Parliament in 2008, and our hopes were actually high then, that things would actually change.
Do you think it's a great deal to do with ignorance, that they perhaps are not aware that those things are in place and that what they are doing is against the law? Recently, Borko was attacked when he was a pup, but you had another incident recently, didn't you?
Oh, exactly. That was on the 12th of March this year. And what happened is, about 8 o'clock in the morning, this lynch mob, they staged some illegal protest outside, and I still don't know the reason, I mean, for that protest. But the thing is, these people were shouting and kicking actually the door, and obviously angry because the front door was locked, you know, with the chain. And there was a TV crew actually from TV7, and they were actually complicit with this criminal behavior.
Yes.
And on top of everything else, this horrible man, Boran, the Finn of Kirov, he jumped over the fence.
So it was the fence that was locked, not your front door, it was the fence. He jumped over.
He jumped over the fence, and as you can see on the clip, because I wasn't there to witness this, but I saw it on the clip later, and he attacked the dogs, and the two other dogs, Danny and Jaco, they went inside, and they're very humble dogs. I mean, they bark, but they would never attack anyone. And this man was intruder. If that, a pit bull maybe, or a Rottweiler, they would have attacked actually the intruder, but they didn't. They went inside, which shows that basically they're very harmless dogs.
Yes.
But Borko, for obvious reasons, was somewhere near the stairs.
And he couldn't make that jump, so he got caught.
He got caught, and he was beaten. I mean, he couldn't escape, obviously, and he was frightened to death. And I heard him screaming, but the thing is, I could never imagine this could actually happen. Never happened before.
You're beautiful, aren't you, sweetie? It's a beautiful boy.
He is actually.
So what effect has that now had on Borko? Is this why he's more nervous now?
Oh, he's more stressed now, and he's been very protective now of his room and
his space.
His space, basically. That's it, Lorraine. And I think it's some kind of post-traumatic stress disorder. I mean, when he sees people, especially more than one person, he gets really annoyed. You know, he barks fiercely. And
well, we're lucky, aren't we?
Oh, you're lucky. Well, he reads your mind.
He's a little nervous of our cameraman because, of course, the camera is on a stick. So
he can feel that you're here to rescue and basically to
that's,
help him.
That's not good news. But what's the way forward for you here? Because what I'm beginning to understand, and I'm sure that the people watching this are not aware of, is that you're getting quite a lot of, not to use a pun, stick from
absolutely.
it, and they're now trying to
evict me.
To evict you from the village.
Because
why?
Well, that's always been the question. See, well, the funny thing is that the very few people in Bulgaria who actually do something for the animals and they try to protect them basically from evil and neglect, and those are the very same people who actually get harassed by the institutions. I mean, it's always the same story, you know, over and over again. And you see what happened. I mean, I should have been. They should have helped me. Actually, the municipality. That's their building. And basically I rent it.
Yes, this is their building.
This belongs, this whole building, it used to be a kindergarten.
Are you the only doctor in the village?
I'm the only doctor, actually.
So when you get evicted, they're spiting their own face?
You ask them, I mean, that's beyond understanding.
Where are you moving? Where is it going forward from here now?
And basically, they started. That's one day. That was a couple of weeks later. They came and they gave me this notice. They gave me 30 days to leave the premises, which we challenged in court successfully. So and now there's a case. And, well, basically, it will end by the end of this month, and I'm very positive about it, because I have a good solicitor, and we're going to win this. Yes. Because it was all wrong, it was all illegal on top of it.
Yes.
It was wrong
Do
and
you
illegal.
think they are using this, because you've been so active for animal welfare, do you think they're using this situation to get at you personally?
Probably, because I mean every attempt to save an animal sort of embarrasses the government, who's supposed to do the same thing, because we have the laws now in place. And it's a good Animal Welfare Act. It's a very good act, actually.
It's all in place.
It's all in place, but nobody does it, actually. They haven't read it yet. 5 years later, they haven't read it. So every time you do what they're supposed to do, they get embarrassed, and so they come back with you with a vengeance. You know.
Well, now that you hopefully have won that case and you will be staying here, how would you like to move this situation forward? What would be for you the best outcome for your situation here in this village?
Well, the best outcome would be to continue working here, Elaine.
Yes.
Because that's how I support me and my children.
Yes.
So.
And would you like to have some form of area here, a little charity for your local dogs? Could you see that there might be a shelter, maybe also built here for strays or?
Definitely, but well, the only thing is, if you build a shelter, I mean a licensed shelter that meets the requirements, I mean you need staff, and things get more complicated. So I mean, obviously, I mean, being full-time employed and having to look after.
Yes, all you want to do is look after the three dogs you have.
I couldn't possibly find the time unless we hire some staff, you know. But yeah, you can build shelters.
Do you think maybe it's more to do with maybe you should get involved a little with the community? Maybe you should go in the bars and talk to them about dogs, and do they know it's against the law?
Do you know what I've actually found during my life? It's my personal experience. People do not respond very well to rational reasoning. Actually, people respond. Well, I think the first thing to happen is a system change that will lead to behavioral change. You see, I mean, slavery wasn't abolished because somebody talked to these people, the slave owners, and said, look, this is unethical, this is immoral. I mean, slavery was abolished because the legislation was there. The lawmakers, you see, in Britain, it was 1933. First, they stopped the trade, you know. It was in 1803, it was they stopped the trade, the slave trade, but the Abolition of Slavery Act was in 1833.
Yes, but do you feel that
stopped, not the reasoning.
Maybe if we got a bit of community spirit here, and maybe you could get going through your knowledge of what goes on in the animal and how you've been moving it forward already, that maybe the answer is to get some
support.
Get everybody together who understands what you're saying, and to just have some discussions, to get some sort of, you've got to get something going in the area, because you cannot have this happening again and again, can you?
You're right.
So
but
there's got to be some rhetoric.
I'm a bit pessimistic about changing people's minds. You see, it's so difficult in Bulgaria.
And they rather need you, don't they, as the doctor?
Well, they need me as a doctor, but the thing, not as an animal welfare activist. And well, the thing is, they have horrible customs here, and we have these ritual beheadings. They have these ritual slaughtering animals.
Sorry, I don't know.
We have these. The thing is, you can never imagine it because we're living in Britain. But the thing is, I mean, we have laws in place,
yes.
and if you want to slaughter an animal, you take it to the abattoir.
Yes.
And they have to obviously.
When you say ritual beheadings,
absolutely,
you mean,
we have customs like for instance, Petrov Den is a Bulgarian holiday, Petrov Den, and they go on a public place. They take roosters and they cut their heads. And they smear their faces with the blood, you know. This is done, and this is done in public, so, and people enjoy it, you know. It's like
oh, I see.
Can you imagine that? And well, you can't obviously, and children witness that. They become part of it. So these children will grow one day.
Yes.
So how do you think they're going to treat animals later? Be witnessing this, and people who actually look after domestic animals, they never take them to abattoirs, and so it's never done properly.
Oh, I see. It's done the old way of people doing it at home at their farm.
The old way is just they just force the animal on the ground and they tie its legs, and it's horrible. And they cut its throat, you know. And sometimes it's done not inside. Well.
So
sometimes it's done in front of the house on the street, and you see a river of blood flowing down. And I've witnessed that on many. And I've been.
You're fighting a losing battle.
Basically, it's disgusting. I mean, it's wrong and it's illegal. But nobody does anything to change this. I mean, and it has to start. Education has to start obviously from school. I mean, we need some.
Yes.
Plus, the media has to get involved, but we don't see that. I mean, the media, the only thing they do is they incite the people against that. Well, this war against strays, I mean, it has been incited by the media, you know, and that's what I call rationalization of murder. And it's been done before, obviously, because we see that obviously in Nazi Germany they did the same thing, and that's there is such an expression. The banality of evil is that sometimes even ordinary people, they commit horrible acts actually, and because they've been incited by the media that this is something they should do, this is normal, and this should be done to protect your country, you know. And you do horrible things, I mean, evil things, I mean, which is beyond understanding. But that's how society works, you know. Media are very important actually too. But the thing is, in Bulgaria, it's a post-totalitarian country, and the media is in the hands of the post-communist oligarchy, and these people are mostly criminals. So basically, they don't think of in a way of, well, let's educate these people.
So in a certain way, quite a lot of the cruelty is part of the culture.
It is part of the culture, and it is part of the government policy.
Oh, do you know what? While we're talking, little Borko's just getting closer to me. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled.
He's very curious about you.
Sweet. Are you curious? Are you? Are you a curious boy? Are you? Now, if it had been Borka, that would have been a girl.
Oh, yeah.
And Borko is a little boy. He's a little boy. He's not so sure of you. He's getting to like me, but you're not getting a good look at all. Thank you very much. It's been not only an insight into Borko, but just how big the problem is you have here.
It's huge.
And I just hope that when you've got everything sorted out and you win your case, that they'll leave you alone and leave this dear little dog just to live out his life, really, because he's certainly not doing anyone any harm.
I hope so, Lorraine.
And I hope we'll get to... I'd really like to meet this gentleman and ask him why he felt the need
Exactly.
to do that.
Why do people feel the need to do all these horrible things, actually?
No.
But
And thank
it's-
goodness for men like you. It's
Oh.
been an absolute honour to meet you.
I'm honoured, Lorraine.
And
Thank
honoured
you
to
so
meet
much.
you, Borko, but I won't put my hand out just in
No,
case you're not
just-
too sure and you might nibble it.
And Borko
Thanks,
so-
darling. Thank you.